No one's reading from the Torah. You know, they were saying the same things. Well, it's hard to find. We need to just come together. We started this youth group so that we can just encourage each other just to be around Muslims, because they're not around Muslims every day. They're in public schools. Same thing we saying. Man, where are you at? We need to figure something out. It is a strategy. It says Shaitan comes with a strategy. He told us he's going to lay on the path and he's going to attack us. This path right here. He's going to lay on this path. Thank you, brother, for writing this beautiful example that I can use. He's going to lay on this path and he's going to attack us from every angle. But the beauty of this path that he lays on, Allah says that he attacks us from the front, the back, the left, and the right. But he did not say he attacks us from the top or the bottom. So then that is where our strength is. If Shaitan can't get in that, that's where our strength. Then they say, well, what is the top? The top is from revelation. Your connection directly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan cannot get into that. The bottom is your fitrah. The nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in your soul that he cannot alter or tamper with. And I remember, man, I think I do this with my sister. I said, Rashida, she was in the class with me. I said, what are some of the most profound things you remember from the class? And we just go bounce them off each other. Oh, I remember him said this. Oh, I remember him said that. And I think one of the most profound things that I heard was that he said that slavery amongst African Americans was an experiment to see if the promise of Allah was true. They wanted to see if it was true that Allah preserved in the soul of man a special plot that only he can touch. They wanted to know if it was true that the fitrah is so pure and only Allah has his hand over it. If they can get into that spot and establish themselves as ruler and dominant in that reality. So what they did was they established a whole system in order to challenge Allah. So isn't it only fit that Allah comes and help us? But we gonna get on another tangent. But all that to say is that he cannot attack us from our fitrah. And we've seen that. We've seen that with the slaves. That no matter what, they establish themselves as ilah. They establish themselves. They say, it was doing a thing talking about what is white privilege. And the brother said, white privilege is when you Google the word God, white men show up. But so when you Google, a white man show up. But we didn't accept that. Our fitrah denied that reality because Shaitan cannot attack us in that fitrah. And no matter what we knew, no matter what we came across, we knew that there was some creator. We knew that there was a reality better than the one that we are. And we knew that God was real, regardless of the circumstance that we're in. You cannot attack us in our fitrah. So if we know this, these are mechanisms of strategy that we have to use as leadership and community in order to take our community from its real assessment to the future reality that we are trying to establish now. And so if we're planning banquets for banquet's sake and it has no attachment to the future, we need to reassess that. Well, why are we planning? I don't know, brother, but what can we do to get here? If we're planning conferences and conventions for conference and convention's sake, and it's not to establish what we need to have in the next 50-year projection, we need to reassess it. We need to, as a community, to be real with ourselves and real with those around us. And this is the prophetic model. Muhammad the prophet didn't sugarcoat anything. The words that he spoke knocked the brains out of falsehood. So we have to have that same model unestablished in ourselves so that we can have that same reality and those same effects, always working towards the interest of the future. We have to use the prophetic model in order to guide us and lead us. Where am I? So, someone said, you could be a motivational speaker too, Sister Kalima. I said, well, you got Islam, it motivates. You don't have to be a motivational speaker. You can just speak Islam and you naturally, I'm fired up, ready to go. So, the question then becomes, what can I do? What are these takeaways that I can, because I don't like to come and say, well, we ain't got this and we ain't got that. We lack in here and we need to fix this. Our leadership needs to be like this. And no, we don't do that. We need to ask ourselves, if we're all leaders, then this is all of our collective responsibility. It is a collective responsibility. So with our children, we ask ourselves that question, what do I need to do in the now in order to establish the way of that best situate the future to reach the destiny that Allah has intended. And that should be a question at the top of all of our things. You know, we had the editor of the Gazette, one of the newspapers, and we did a meeting with one of the top editors. And he said, whenever you write, what we do is at the top of the paper, at the top of our computer, we put the question that we're always reaching, making sure everything we write speaks to that. So at the top of everything we should do should have a statement saying, what do we need to do now to ensure that we are establishing the reality to help our future reach its destiny? When we have a meeting, well, we came out this meeting, so what we need to do now to make sure that is the case. So what are some things that we can do now? I tell everybody, Islam is getting mad play. Maybe not in the most positive light, but it is getting mad play. We need to benefit off of that. But wasn't it always like that? People getting all worked up. Oh, man, they bashing Islam. Well, I remember the time of the Prophet, they was doing the same thing. They sent whole armies after folks to get them. So this is not a new phenomenon. And we need to understand that we're not living in something new. Oh, man, we're experiencing something the Prophet can't have an answer to. No, we just experiencing it now. So we have all of the solutions for everything that we're enduring. So what is it? One thing that we can do. Islam should never be something that we do not openly promote. I tell people all the time, they say, Sister Kalima, I go on news channels, and I am program manager for American Muslim Advisory Council, and I represent all Muslims, immigrant Muslims, African-American Muslims, sometimes Nation of Islam sneaking in on me. So I represent them all. And whenever they get a phone call, oh, something happened over here. Something happened. Kalima, you got to go on the news. I say, well, why don't you go in there, shake this? Why don't you? Oh, no, you go. I said, where y'all want me to go? Because they can't tell you to go back nowhere. You have a mighty foundation to stand on, Sister Kalima. They can't say we oppress you because you are a woman and you up there talking. So it's interesting, they say you're a triple threat. You're African American, so they can't tell you to go back anywhere. They can't tear you down and say anything to you because you stand on the mightiest foundation. You are Muslim. You chose that religion. Out of everything that was placed in front of you, you all chose that way of life. And then you're a woman. You represent that womb that produced all of that. And so they can't throw those stereotypes that knock Islam down because you are a testament to all of those things. So they say, Sister Kalima, you go up there, you go ahead and speak. But that is the true testament to the position that we have in the world in order to promote the reality of Islam. We are the most powerful country in the world. This should be in our strategic plan. We sit in the most powerful country in the world. We're the leaders of this thing. They can't tell me to go back nowhere. They can't tear me down or beat me up anymore. I just point to it, you have everybody and their mom tell you doing them black folks like you ain't right. And if they do something negative, oh, you're trying to bring back slavery? No, I'm not trying to do that. You just throw that at them. That's the people, we don't talk about slavery. I tell them, that's my card. As soon as they start acting the fool, I'm like, what, you trying to make me your slave? They're like, no, sister, no. So they can't do any of those things. So we sit in the most powerful position in the world, in the most powerful country, in order to give Islam the true light that it deserves. And Islam has the voice and the scene in the world right now. Islam has it. It has its command. So who now is responsible to give it the most beautiful reality? Who now is to call the whole world to the understanding of what Islam is and the remembrance of Allah? You Bilalians. Right? That's right. But we cannot call people to a reality that we have not given sincere thought and understanding to. We cannot call. If I come at you with a business plan that I ain't thought out, and I'm trying to get you to invest in it, this is my business brother right here. I need you to invest in it. I woke up this morning, it just came to me. What you gonna do? You ain't gonna give me $1 or a penny. You may give me a tip to think about, but you're not going to invest in me. So we're coming and saying that what we have, and believe you me, what we have is the most profound and the most perfected and the most excellent reality that has ever reached or touched creation. That's what we have. And all of the riffraff was taken from us, and it was established upon our fitra. We didn't have the rigmarole of everything else. It was established upon our fitra. So they can take nothing from you. Only thing they can do is benefit you. Even the things that are negative comes to you as a servant if you're doing Allah's will. I tell people all the time, we talk about predestination. Well, brother, I don't get that predetermination. I said, brother, you got any choice you want. You just don't have the outcome. That's predetermination. You can make any choice you want. You just don't predict the outcome. So that choice that you make, Allah is going to tell you how it's going to turn out. And that's where Allah is. Because he sits, and I heard a brother, he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sits in between every cause and the effect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sits in between every cause and effect. So you think that you pushed that and knocked it off the table? No, Allah made it fall. All you did was make your intention to move the thing. That's why you're only judged for your attention. But, I'm going to. I think it's in my blood, because every imam and every person I ever hear talk, they always say, let me get back to the main point. I think that's in us. That's just in us. That's innate. And what's my time? 10 minutes. Alhamdulillah. So, we have to understand that we sit in the most powerful position in the world. The whole world is looking to you. And you think that you are small and insignificant. You are the cell that brings the antidote to the cancer that is spreading throughout the whole body of humanity. You are not insignificant. Not in the least bit. So you have to represent that reality at every turn. No human being knows its potential or what he can become or the reality that he has until someone shows him. We need to now prepare for the future, be models and model human being in every facet of reality, so that when the future needs someone to point to understand their potential and where they can even start to manifest the Islam that they have, they can point to you and say, that is my beacon or guide that will help me. We need doctors. They say in education, when they talk about African-American students, they say they fail to succeed because they don't have African-American role models that show them that thing is possible for them. So if we're trying to establish ourselves in the now with the interest of the future, then we have to have that same understanding that they in the future will not know the capacity of what they can accomplish unless they have models of individuals who can show them what they can aspire into. So we have to fill that glitch. We need bakeries. We need doctors. We need business people. We need individuals that they can say, I know where to start. I'm not starting from scratch. If we did not have Muhammad the Prophet, would you have known that you could be Muslim? Would you have known your spiritual capacity? Would you have known what you were intended to be and accomplish and develop into? No. We can sit here and have an understanding of what we can come because we had Imam Warthaddin Muhammad. We can look at him and say, okay, that's my springboard of how I can start to mold and develop and take it into my level of understanding and beyond. So we need to understand that. So now it puts every pressure on every individual again, who everyone in here is a leader, but also every one of you is a part of this community. So it puts pressure back on you to now every movement that you make, everything that you do, you're establishing yourself as a model human being for the future to look at and say, that is my springboard for the development of excellence that I have within me to establish anything. My sister wants to be hospitality and open up a resort. I have a younger sister. She shouldn't have to start from scratch. She should have a model of a brother and a sister who has a resort situation